Tripods are highly overrated. Well, maybe I could put it here. No. Maybe this is just an excuse to show you around my studio. This is a continuation of the hoop. Oh, wait a second. There you go. Let's see. I've done more. Damn it. Okay. I've done more. Well, from the last episode, I've continued on with the space kind of backgrounds, nebulae. This one looks like a fish kinda. This one's different colors. This one down here, I don't think this one's finished down here. But then I abruptly stopped the background of this section to move on to what seems to be now the other side of this. Seems like this is like a split image, like so what I did was I started making these sections of color, just because I don't know why. These cubes, these squares of color around this spill out thing from this beast, you know. And as I was doing, I did it down here, and then I wanted to continue with the theme of the giving that like an animal can when you sacrifice an animal, when you take an animal and you slaughter it. I mean, and then it's used to feed the family. So I made sort of a little story here, I guess. I made this image, which is basically a tail, and then like the first thing you would do, is take apart the animal, and you still have the fur on it here, and here's the tail, and then here's the flesh here, and then you got the little bone, and then after that, you strip the flesh off. I mean, at least the fur off, the outer layer, and then you have like inner layers here of this. This is a different section of the animal. Maybe the torso. Well, not the torso, but I mean, it's just to represent a different section. And you have the bone inside. I mean, this could just be an arm or a leg. I don't know. And then the third, after that, you have just the bone after all the skin has been taken off. And in this case, it looks sort of like it's a rib cage. Basically, I used a reference from. I'll show you that. I used a reference from Grey's Anatomy to make a rib cage. And then I started continuing with more of the colors. And then what happened was, when I made more of these colors, it started to look so bright and cheery compared to this sort of darker look stuff on this side, that it almost looked like, I started to think this looked like a hot dog, because it reminded me of like these funny, like, bright colors that would go outside of a snack bar stand or something. And so I started to get really depressed. I was like, this isn't a snack bar. And then started looking silly, and then it just looks like a pair of lips, and then I thought this looked like an eyeball stalk, and I just hope that's not what people think it is. It really depressed me. But then, as I continued even more making these squares, then I realized what I had done, and I made a quilt. A quilt inside this larger embroidery. I made a quilt, and it fit perfectly. These 4 sections here, these 4 colored sections, fit in perfectly with this, which I really didn't plan, and I almost started crying, because it all works out with this. Again, the original idea I had of this family home, kind of hearth and warmth. I was supposed to. I don't know if that's the right word, but that is given from the sacrifice of a simple farm animal. You know, you can make lots of food from it. It's part of the life of the traditional home of the farm family, or not even the farm family, but so yeah. And a quilt is also something that kind of represents like I could be wrong, but I mean the quilts that I've seen, the American quilts I've seen, are all made by, you know, they're also representative of the kind of home, the home shopping club, and I can't think of the words. You know, home and comfort and things. At least that's what I think of. A lot of early quilts, early American quilts had scenes of rural life on them and stuff. You know, home and mother and the warmth and comfort and of home, and that's the kind of thing, sort of. But then going on with these 3 anatomy slaughterhouse things are not part of the quilt. They're kind of like hovering above it, sort of. And I started making these little, like, I'll have to go in the book. These are different. You know, in a science book you will see, or anatomy book, you know, that there'll be little explanations of the parts. So like this is what started happening. Like this is like number S goes to here, and that's explaining whatever this outer epidermal thing is, and then this little section here is represented by. I started out trying to make letters, but then some of them just look like weird symbols. This one was supposed to be an E. This one's definitely a V, at least when that's clear. Of course, there is no explanation written anywhere what each means. You know, I don't have an S means blah 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 blah, but it's supposed to look like a science book. But then I abruptly stopped that. Ow.